by the Center for Legal Studies, Geetarajan International Business School. Today we have with us Professor Dr. Alok Sharma. She serves as an assistant professor at Law Center 1, Faculty of
I will introduce myself. I have not sent my brief intro to Mr. Ravi because I say, reading that takes a lot of time. I only feel that I am a teacher just like you, and I teach law in Faculty of Law. That is the only introduction which I want to give. And during our life, you see, we write so many things, we read, we go as a resource person. This is part of our job. So I am doing, you will also, and you are also doing. So that is nothing to share. So I am a teacher of criminal law. I should say that I was a teacher of criminal law because the subject was taken from me in the year 2016 when new laws, compulsory papers were introduced by Bar Council of India like moot court and ADR. So jurisprudence was made. I used to teach jurisprudence very passionately, and jurisprudence was made optional paper. So optional paper and jurisprudence, you see, talks about major casualties, and so who will take that paper? If there who teaches clinical legal education, moot court. But as this is the first love was for criminal law and jurisprudence, so I am interested in discussing these things. And when new laws came, requests were there from many institutions, including CBI Academy, to tell because the government is doing a lot of work and training their officials in the new laws. So I am a regular visiting faculty, you can say, in CBI Academy for new laws. I am grooming all the batches there regarding the new laws. So when I thank sir for giving me the opportunity to come for the first time in your institution and do the interaction. So this is the basic introduction and interaction I want to have. So for the last so many years I have not received any lecture or invitation regarding the criminal laws because people say no, a lot of work has been done in criminal law, there is no scope for some other kind of work. But now everybody is organizing seminars. Even the Prime Minister office says at university level on 1st of July we have organized a big program where Vice Chancellor and other justices were there to celebrate this initiation of the implementation of the criminal laws on 1st July. So on the 1st July we have done the program. So this is the impact that we all are now learning and indulging in the criminal laws. कैसे करेंगे? आप पढ़ पा रहे हैं आप लोग? इसको ना ये लाइट बंद कर दो, ये लाइट बंद कर दो। पीछे वाली चली तो आगे वाली कर दो। मुझे तो बेटर है। एक और कर दो ये बच्चे आगे वाली। Now it is better, है ना? Okay. So impact. We are going to discuss impact, but we cannot understand the impact without understanding what basically major changes have been done in criminal laws. Because after looking into the changes, then only we can assess the impact. So the landmark move by the government, by the parliament, and they have introduced 3 pivotal laws: Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023, Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita, and Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam. As we all know Hindi, so we can understand the meaning of these laws. So from July 1st, as I already told you, July 1st, 2024, these new laws have replaced the colonial era laws. Yeah. So I think they are, I'm not able to see that. So welcome my online participants. सभी सभागार में उपस्थित सभी शिक्षकों को और ऑनलाइन जुड़े हुए सभी शिक्षकों को मेरा नमस्कार प्रणाम। बाकी आप देख लें कि वो सुन पा रहे हैं या नहीं। Okay, so 3 laws, the Indian Penal Code, CRPC and Evidence Act, these have been repealed. Yes. Now, what is the process of initiating the new laws? While introducing the new laws in the Parliament, Mr. Amit Shah, Home Minister of our country, who introduced all the 3 laws, he says, the soul of the new laws will be to protect all the rights given to Indian citizens by the Constitution, and their purpose will not be to punish but to give justice. Excuse me. Actually, admissions are going on in Faculty of Law, so my number is on the website. Okay, so Minister addressed that this is not to punish but to give justice to the people. That is the basic purpose of the 3 laws. Why we have these 3 laws? He said that existing laws were sign of slavery as they had been passed by British Parliament. Such signs, he said, has been removed from as many as 475 places. The new laws were made with Indian thought process and would bring a huge change in the criminal justice system. So basically, what was the purpose? And I also was a part in the committees who gave recommendation and suggestions for the changes. So I did a lot work in this, kind of recommendation and suggestions for the changing. So for so many years, this work has been going on. And the purpose was that the Britishers have made these laws. So whoever is the ruler, the law, he will make the law as per their own convenience. The law which will facilitate them, help them. And I hope that you should know that in England at that time when we had the IPC, there was no codified laws. And Bentham, the jurist, he recommended that for a good system, for a good country, it is advisable that we should have codified laws. Because law should be precise, clear, accurate, same for all. And it can happen only when it is a written law, so anybody can check that written law. So Bentham gave this kind of advice, and Britishers wanted to test the theory of Bentham, and they used India as the field to test the Benthamite principle of codification of law. And it was very, very successful. Very, very successful. So this is usually another thing which is with our IPC at that time. But when the law was made by the Britishers, their purpose was to get money, property, or valuable things from the country, and they want to send it to their own country. Now they want to have the police to take people, that they should prevent people from revolting or any activity which is against the government. So that is why the Indian Police Act was also passed in 1861. So all these laws were having the philosophy and policy how to satisfy the ruling party, the government. Okay, so that was the basic purpose. And in IPC, if you have seen, or in CRPC also, you see many provisions: monarch, government, British Parliament, United Kingdom, and that uncodified laws of British. So all these provisions were still there. So when we have taken our independence, so why we, and our own old law was also very well established. So why we follow the British law? So that was the concept of the government, and they wanted to change this concept. Now these are certain steps which were prominent while making the law. New provisions have been incorporated to suit contemporary times and technologies in vogue. Basically, what was the need? That our law is the archaic law. It was old and new technologies, because you see, when you try the cases and you say, oh no, this provision is this video, oh no, not admissible, evidence act में लिखा ही नहीं है. So there is outdated law which need to be, because you see, law is dynamic. Law has to be evolved with the change in society. And the interesting part is that society is evolving, technology is evolving at a higher pace and law is not able to make pace with the technology. So every day we see new developments are there, but still at least we should try to incorporate those provisions where you see technology can be included. So in this way, some complete difference. Some other thing is going on in POCSO, other thing is going on IPC. Now both are on the same page. So that is another good thing. Sanhita provides the targeted penalties for person. Fraudulently now, this provision was already, I think, I understand, it is somewhere in the 376. Supreme Court also interpreted in many cases that when it was a promise to marry and ultimately that person does not. There was a case of Uday, I remember. So in that case it was not the rape. So it was there, but now it was only the interpretation of Supreme Court at that time. But now a clear provision has been given that if a person is not having the intention to marry a woman or any other thing, exploitation is broad for promotions, for service. You know, see, many things have been included by any deceitful means. So that is a separate offense in the rape cases. So that is a new and many other kind of gender-based violence provisions have been incorporated. Many new offences have been incorporated, especially the cyber crimes, financial crimes. Means even if the offences have been modified to incorporate the technological aspect, because nowadays we see cyber crimes are number one when we compare with the physical offences and the internet offences. So internet offences are, you see, increasing at higher pace. So few of the provisions which I feel I have listed for you, abetment outside India. This is a very important provision because generally you see what politicians say, who is in power, bahari ताकतें हमारे यहाँ, Mrs. Gandhi का it was a favorite dialogue of Prime Minister Mrs. Gandhi, bahari ताकतों का हाथ है. हर प्रॉब्लम भारत की it was a bahari ताकतों का हाथ. ठीक है, तो बाहरी ताकतों को भी चलो कुछ तो उन्हें पनिशमेंट मिले. सो अबैटमेंट अगर कोई बाहर भी कर रहा है, जैसे आरबी गवर्नमेंट फेस कर रही है इश्यूज, सो नाउ इट इज, अर्लियर इट वाज नॉट. सो इवन इफ अ पर्सन इज नॉट अ पर्सन committing abetment, conspiracy here in the country, but he is doing outside, that is also punishable. Sexual intercourse, that is the provision which I was talking to you. Hiring, employing or engaging a child to commit an offence. बच्चों को लगा लिया, रख लिया, पैसे देने का लालच करके तो कोई ऑफेंस करवा दिया, तो ये नया ऑफेंस बना दिया है. मॉब लिंचिंग, वर्ड मॉब लिंचिंग हैज नॉट बीन यूज्ड. इट इज अ सेक्शन 302 को जो कन्वर्ट करा है हमने 103 में, तो 103 के 2 पार्ट्स बना दिया. 302 was only one provision. It is one is 302 and 2 is mob lynching. Mob lynching word has not been used, but the purpose is mob lynching only. So it is a punishable offence. This is 106. I think everybody heard in the news. It is very controversial. People are protesting. Now these are the areas: organized crime, petty organized crime, and terrorist acts. These three, because you see, they are also seeking criticism from the various sectors. Because when you talk about like organized crime, so or the terrorist act, simultaneous power is given to the superintendent of police. He will decide whether in that situation the anti-organized crime definition will enhance the punishment there. Organized crime, of course, it is you see nowadays we see that people are, you know, in groups they are committing the offences. So these are very relevant kind of offences, need of the hour, but likely to face issues when actual implementation will be there. So sedition law, as we all know, was very controversial law, and even Supreme Court say that ask the government what is your opinion on this, and they say we will tell you. So basically they have decided to remove that, but in a modified form they have kept in 152. But the difference is that as a grave difference, appreciable difference, in sedition it is against the activities of the government. So how you see in India, that is what the Britishers, government was of Britishers, state has entered, and and nobody can question, because all of us are under a responsibility to protect our state, and nobody can do any offense against the state. Now, attempt to commit suicide is removed. Section 309 is repealed. I hope you know that. A new kind of suicide is provision is entered, where attempt of suicide is there in order to restrain the exercise of lawful powers. Now all kind of hunger strikes that वो मनोज क्या नाम उसका मनोज वो आरक्षण के लिए मराठा में करता है मनोज पीछे कुछ वो मराठी नाम है मुझे वो हमेशा अभी थ्रेट दिया है कि भाई आई विल स्टार्ट दी आमरण अनशन करना है, ठीक है, तो वो सारी चीजों को आप यहाँ पर ला सकते हैं. If some legal order is there and a person is preventing the implementation of that order and say I will self-immolate myself, जैसे ड्रामे होते हैं कि मैं मर जाऊंगा, मैं ये करूंगा, वो सारे लोग अंदर जा सकते हैं because now they have incorporated 2 to 6 a different kind of reason. Snatching. Now this is very interesting property of us. Many other, but I have not included because time is not that much with me. Snatching is very, because generally we see chain snatching is very popular and we use this word for snatching, mobile snatching, but snatching was covered under the theft at that time. So now they have made it a different offense after the misdemeanor, misappropriation, etc. And they say it is a theft violently, quickly, right? In that, so it is a new offense. Now, certain sections have been repealed and some modified. Many modified. Repeal is less, but modification is lot. So, sedition we all know, like the counterfeiting coins, weight and measure, these are all redundant and archaic type of provisions. So, all have been removed. Attempt to commit suicide, 309. Unnatural offences. However, with this provision, I have some reservation, my own reservation, that Supreme Court has decided that consensual sexual activity is permitted. But what about the other offences, unnatural, which were covered under 377? Now, if that offence has committed by some person, which is the provision? Bestiality. There are many things which were mentioned in 377. Now the parliament has completely removed section. They should bifurcate and remove that part only which was done by the Supreme Court. But they have removed the whole section. So adultery, as Supreme Court has already mentioned way back in 2018 itself, now it has been removed. Now many offences have been modified. Now why they have been modified? Because the electronic, digital, internet, cyber, audiovisual, like these kind of technological advancements have been incorporated in the new definition. Now theft is about identity theft. Nobody heard about that. Now it's a ATM thing, credit card, identity, concealment, or some kind of fraudulent activities online stalking. So all these offences have been modified in the view of the technology, right? और definition clause में भी अगर हम section 2 देखते हैं, there are certain modification and good modification in section 2. Child I have already mentioned. Child is uniform now below 18. Fix a gender. Now transgender word expressly has been included. So transgender is male, female, and transgender is a definition of gender. Movable property, wonderful change. Now earlier movable property was only about the corporeal. This is Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Samhita 2023. That is a CRPC replacement. It replaces CRPC. Significant reforms, enhance the procedural aspect. This is a really, CRPC has really done a great job. And the great job is primarily, which I feel, is towards the speedy justice. Justice, I don't know, should I use speedy trial, speedy decision will be a better term. So at least chances are there. I am not very hopeful because I have seen in Domestic Violence Act, when the act was introduced, so timelines were given. In 3 days, in next 10 days this will happen, 30 days this will happen. It never happened. And 30 days took 8 months, 1 year, 10 days took 6 months. So this was a fate of the domestic violence act timelines. But we hope that CRPC will follow the deadlines, and if they follow, really it will be a great change for the country. So, criminal justice system procedural aspects and focuses on modernizing investigation. Now, what we feel, we have I have already told you, acquittal rate is very, very high. The reason being, faulty investigation. The reason being, court will say, sufficient evidence is not before the court, benefit of doubt. Even if the judge knows very well that this person has committed the offense, but punishment will not be given. So a basic change which I feel in CRPC is really great, and we hope that it will implement on ground as well. So improving the efficiency and transparency. Now not only that, the technology has been introduced. Police will be kept under check. There are many provisions where the investigation is under the camera. Still, I want to share the interesting thing with you. I have done many research on field with police officials as well. So at that time in Delhi, new renovations were there. The CCTV cameras were installed way back 10-12 years ago. So I asked the question, now what happens when CCTV camera is there? So now we don't have like third degree. I don't believe that it don't. लेकिन मैडम मजबूरी होती है, करना ही पड़ता है. वो स्टोर रूम में ले जाते हैं, वहाँ के वो CCTV कैमरा, वहाँ पर थोड़ा बहुत जो करना है करके, जब रेडी करके फिर हम उसे यहाँ बैठाकर वैन भी ढूंढ लाते हैं. So police have their own way. Sometimes it is compulsory as well. You see, we always blame police, but I have seen closely the police officials under what conditions they are working, what kind of people they are interacting, and with whom they are dealing. Sometimes, but when we see the law has tried to take a check on the police officers while they do investigation. So the emphasis in CRPC, which I say briefly, is efficiency, speedy result, transparency, and accountability as well. So all these features which we were writing in our articles, everybody is aspiring for. We hope that CRPC is addressing those things. It overhauls the procedural aspects. Complete change. Many changes are there. A quicker and more efficient justice system. Mechanism victim के assistance से बहुत पहले मैंने आपसे कहा hardly there were provisions about victims, but now in the new law we see there are many provisions where victim assistance is provided. Protection, compensation, rehabilitation at one-stop centers. One-stop centers इससे पहले भी थे, लेकिन दिल्ली जैसे शहर में it was not everywhere. पूरे भारत में नहीं है ऐसे. कई जगहों पर थे, but now they talk about that you should have these kind of things. Centers will have the protection officers, probation officers, their counselors and shelters. Now aim and object of the BNSS, FIR से लेकर हम जब बात करते हैं what is the procedural law, substantive law define कर दिया, punishment and the offense. Procedural law how to implement the substantive law. ठीक है, तो वो FIR से शुरू होगा, कंप्लेंट से शुरू होगा और अपील जब डिसाइड हो जाएगी सुप्रीम कोर्ट तक अगर भी जा रही है तब तक चलेगा. ठीक है, सो गुड गवर्नेंस का ऑब्जेक्टिव लेकर चले हैं. एफिशिएंट जस्टिस सिस्टम, सिटीजन एंड पुअर पीपल आर, ये सारा स्टेटमेंट ऑफ ऑब्जेक्टिव भी मैंने लिखा है. जो मैंने यहाँ से लिया है सिर्फ डायरेक्ट आपका देखा है, और एक वेबसाइट है, आई हैव मेंशन दैट वेबसाइट. वो वेबसाइट बड़ा काम किया है सर, बहुत अच्छा से बनाया था उसने. सो आई हैव मेंशन दी वेबसाइट. सो सिटीजन की सारा डायरेक्ट से ही है, जो चीज़ें हैं. स्पीडी जस्टिस, स्पीडी ट्रायल हम इसे कह सकते हैं कम से कम. और टेक्नोलॉजी एंड फॉरेंसिक साइंस को बहुत बड़ा जो चेंज है वो फॉरेंसिक्स का है. व्हेन आई वाज अ वेरी यंग, आई वाज अ स्टूडेंट इन स्कूल, डिस्कवरी वाज माय फेवरेट चैनल, एंड आई यूज्ड टू वॉच डिस्कवरी फॉर आवर्स एंड आवर्स. इफ आई हैव नो स्कूल, नो टाइम, 12 hours, 13 hours I used at that time. And what I used to see, forensic investigations. So I think that is why I teach criminal law. So when I was very young, America, they used to do, all detectives there with the police, and they do these forensic things. And you see unbelievable cases where they caught the culprit and booked that person. Just with the help of the, like one hair in many cases I have seen, one hair of the victim was there or the accused, and they used to solve the cases. So this is a wonderful